Hi guys. Today is the day that we start poetry lessons, and I know some of you are probably saying, "Oh, poetry," but I think you're going to like it if you'll just stay with it. It will replace the reading lessons on paper if you want it to. You're welcome to do the others if you want. So the first thing I need you to have is I need you to get this poetry pack that I brought to you, and I do want to say this about the pack. Anything that's in a clip, there's two clips, is necessary to save, meaning I need it for something. The other construction paper that is loose is your choice. So if it is in a clip, it is super important, and don't get into it until I specifically ask you to on a video. So the poem that we're going to start today, and we're going to do it for 3 days, is this Cinquain poem. Cinquain's kind of a funny spelled word. Some people I've heard say Cinquain, but yeah, it's Cinquain. So a Cinquain poem. And one thing I want you to realize with poetry is some people assume that poetry always rhymes. And we are going to do poetry that doesn't rhyme at all. That's just the beginning way that we learn poetry. So a Cinquain poem has 5 lines. And each line is different. And you have a sheet in a minute. I'll have you get that out. But this is basically what it looks like. So the first line is the noun. The first line is what you want your poem to be about. The second 2 lines, and they're separated because these are words, not complete sentences. The second 2 lines are for adjectives, and adjectives are words that describe nouns. So whatever you put up here, the whole poem will follow that first noun. So you'll have 2 words that describe your noun. Then you'll notice that there's 3 lines in the middle. Those are for verbs. Verbs are action words for our purpose here. And we're going to put an ing, a suffix ing, at the end of every action word or verb. So this helps us a lot with language too. The fourth line is solid because it is like a phrase. I want it to be 4 words if possible. Sometimes somebody will squeeze in a 5th word like so or and in there, and that's okay, but we're shooting for 4 words on that line. When I say phrase, I mean that it doesn't have to be a complete sentence, but it's still describing that top noun. And then the bottom is a synonym, not cinnamon, like toast. Synonym. Synonym is a word that means the same thing. So this is kind of like writing. When you're doing a topic and conclusion sentence, the top and the bottom of this poem will be the same. It cannot be the same word. It has to be a synonym. In other words, a word that means about the same thing. And you'll get the hang of what I mean when I read a few examples. So just kind of get those 5 lines in your head. Now, I thought about showing you a video, but I thought, why would I do that when I have some perfect examples from former classes? So this is one thing that I'm sad that we will not get to do. We usually write our poetry, and we put 3 poems in this book per student. And then we have a class book, and it's really nice. It's a hardback. We send them off to Scholastic. Shout out to Scholastic. And we buy them, and then I get a copy, and I get a copy to keep to remember everybody by. This class, we always had a competition about the cover, and then there is an inside page. You can see this one's really elaborate, and then this one's very simple. And I always had the art teacher choose who that child was that got to decorate the book. So since we are going to do Cinquain poems for 3 days, I'm not going to read them all. I'm going to read about 8 of them just to give you the idea of the noun, 2 adjectives, 3 action verbs, a phrase, and then a synonym of the noun on the first line. So here we go. This is the first one. Parrot, colorful, funny, flying, hopping, sleeping. They are so cool. Bird. Now I want to talk about that a little bit. Parrot was the noun. The 2 adjectives, colorful, funny, both describe parrot. Now listen to these ing action words. Flying, hopping, sleeping. Those are all 3 things a parrot can do. The phrase is they are so cool, stayed within the 4 words. And bird. Bird is a synonym of parrot because a parrot is a bird. That I don't want to take any credit. That was written by Chase Wood. And then they got to illustrate their 3. And so there's his parrot. Lots of fun to make these. So you could do an animal. Here's a season. Summer, fun, sandy. Swimming, going, seeing. Playing in the sand. Season. So summer and season are synonyms. Fun, sandy were adjectives describing summer. The ing words were swimming, going, seeing. And the phrase stayed within the 4-word limit. This was written by Tristan Nutt. And here you can see his summertime. Now you're seeing other pictures on these pages, but they go with their other poems that they wrote that we will write also. Puppy, funny, happy, caring, chasing, sleeping. Puppies are cute. Now she stayed within 4. She was 3. Dog. So puppy and dog are synonyms. They mean about the same thing. That was written by Isabella Plord. Now here's a sports star. Luke Stogsdale. KD. Fun, happy. Shooting, dribbling, passing are his ing words. Playing on the court. Player was his synonym for KD. So there's KD out on the court. Kevin Durant, written by Luke Stogsdale. He was just such a great fan of him. I let him put it in there. All right. Dog, nice, playful, playing, loving, licking. That's a good dog word. We're looking for words that really describe your noun. Run around a lot. Pet. So dog and pet are synonyms. Very good ing words. That's by Colton Nutt. There's his dog at the top. Now this one is probably going to make me sad. This was written by Raylan. Mrs. Jensen. So sometimes that top line is not just one word simply because of the title. Nice, pretty, not sure where she got that. Teaching, loving, working. Miss Jensen is nice. Worker was a synonym for me. Does feel like I'm working now. And then she drew this nice picture of me. And that's by Raylan. One more. This one's very interesting and very unusual. And just this boy is a big sports fan too, but he really went out on a limb writing about this. His noun was science, and he used some great words. Chemicals absorb. His ing words were inventing, making, amusing, because he loved it. He thought science was so fun. Science is my favorite. And his synonym was subject. Science is a subject in school. And then he drew some bottles and mixers and things up here. And that was written by Bo Black. One more. Now, this one didn't surprise me because she loved art. Art was her noun. Her 2 adjectives, creative and beautiful, both very good adjectives. Her 3 ing words were designing, looking, painting. Her 4-word phrase was, I am an artist. And her synonym was class. And then she just simply drew a painting over here. And that was by Danica Bishop. Very, very sweet girl. And she did love art. So that's just some examples. You are only going to write 1 today, 1 Cinquain tomorrow, and 1 Cinquain on the 3rd day. Then we'll switch to a different type of poem. So what I want you to do now, and we're going to put a little art with it to make it fun. I do want you to get out this clip. And this one says Cinquain. And there's 3. We are only going to write 1 today. So I want you to just slip that out of the clip. Put this back into the green folder. Put your name on your paper, as always. Haven't said that in a while. We could do this on computer, but there's just something about poetry that I think needs a pencil and paper. Needs to be you creating. All right, so the directions are on the top of the page. If you are not understanding what I am saying, I'm also going to have this board going. So I want you to just stop and think. And the reason we are not writing all three in one day, and the reason I don't want you to go ahead, is because after you write your first one, your second one will be better. And after you write your second one, your third one will be better. If we were at school, we would spend an entire week on it. And by the time Thursday rolls around, I'm not even saying, remember the fourth line has 4 words. Remember the third line has ing. I'm not even saying that. They're so good at it, and you will be too. What you're looking for then is getting more descriptive with your words. All right. So I'm going to work on the board. You're going to work right in this first section. So just pick a noun. Pick noun as a person, place, or thing. Get lots of language, lots of writing, lots of reading in here. Spelling too, a little bit. All right, so let me think of something that I want to be my noun. And I don't want you to just take the first thing that pops in your head. I want you to really stop and think, because we've got a lot of time in the day to think now. So I'm just going to write students, because that's something I've been thinking a lot about lately. So that's my noun. It's okay if it has an S on the end, making it plural. So if you need to stop your video right now and write your noun, I want you to stop the video, and I'll write mine where it should go on the paper, so you're certain to be in the right place. It should be right there, and then stop. When you have that word chosen, turn the video back on. Okay, if you're back with me, we're ready for adjectives. Adjectives are words that describe nouns. We are not going to have words that have the suffix ing on these two blanks. Very rarely would we have an ing word. Now, it might say like spring poetry. Well, in that case, spring is an adjective that ends with ing, but it's not being used as a suffix. All right, so if I had to describe students, there's lots of things I can say, but I'm trying to think of something original and something unique. So I might say right now, they're special. Remember, when I said spelling a minute ago, I am not worried about spelling for the most part. I'll show you later the one thing that I would like you to take a look at. And let's see. Right here, I could put that students are fun, but fun is a very simple way to say something. So if I wanted to make fun a bigger vocabulary word, what would I say? Outgoing. And if I don't like it, I can change it later. I'm just thinking about that. I may come back to that in a minute. That's why I want you writing in pencil so that you can change it. That's also why we're doing 3. So I don't know if I like outgoing to replace fun. All right, now I bet you I can fill in these 3 blanks. If you need, I do want you to stop the video, and I want you to write your 2 adjectives. Now I'm going to write special down, but I'm going to leave that second one blank because I'm not really satisfied with that word. And while you're pausing this video, I may think of another word for fun. All right, if you're back with me now, we're writing these 3 words. These 3 words are verbs. They're action words. Not that all verbs are action words, but in this case they are going to be, and they're going to end in ing. So students, there's so many things I could say about what students do. I will say laughing. Now that's a jailbird word with an ing, so I knew how to spell that one. That's something that I miss. Asking. So I miss everybody raising their hand and asking questions, and I talking I could put here, but I think I'm going to choose discussing, not disgusting, discussing. Meaning right now at this time of the year, it's just a time where you all are doing a whole lot more talking than me, and it's just nice to realize how much you have learned. Okay, so your word has to be an action word that goes with the top word, the noun. So I probably wouldn't write sleeping right here because my students aren't sleeping all day when we're in class. They need to be 3 words that are related to your noun. So I'd like you to pause the video now. I'm going to write mine in the blank and turn your video back on when you are ready. Okay, if you're back, now I'm looking for a phrase. I am trying to stay within 4 words. So that's hard because what is hard is to limit it. There's so much I want to say, but I have to limit it to I have to get the most bang for my buck. I have to make my words count. So these are not going to be ing words necessarily. We want to keep the ing verbs right up here. So, what do I think about my students? Of course, this is a different time than it would be any other year because normally we're in class. So, I might just write, I miss the class. Those are simple words, those aren't big words, but that's about the extent of it right now. That's about what is happening every day. So I want you to really think about your phrase. Try to keep it within 4 words. I want you to pause your video and write that down and start it again when you're done. Okay. I'm so glad that you're writing in pencil because I'm changing this word. Because more than outgoing, when I wanted to say fun, I think I'm going to write humorous. Because one thing that I miss, and I'm putting that on my paper, is that you all are funny. And I mean funny in a way is that you make me smile, you make me laugh, and some of you are humorous in a sarcastic way, some of you are humorous in a sweet way, some of you like to tell jokes, just all kinds of different things. But we're definitely missing that now. All right, my bottom blank. I have to come up with a synonym that is the same as my top, and that's going to be pretty easy for me. My students are my class. Students and class, about the same thing. So you're looking for a synonym for your top word. So I'm going to write that down. I want you to pause the video and I want you to write down your synonym. Then I want you to turn the video back on. Okay, if you're back with me now, I want you to keep that. I don't want you to worry about spelling. The only thing I want to say about spelling is that ing word, that action verb line. And this is only if you're coming up with words super, super quickly. This is a time as the week progresses that I would start talking about, did your base word have a short vowel sound or a long vowel sound? So let's say a student was writing hop and wanted to write hopping, and they wanted to add the ing. They're about to add a suffix that begins with a vowel, and this is a short vowel, ah. When that happens, you double the consonant. Not every student will pick up on this on their own, but several will. let's say that the student was going to write taking and they wanted to add ing. So here's their base word. They're adding a suffix that begins with a vowel. What happens in this case is A is saying its name. We don't want this E and I even thinking about working together as a vowel pair. So we drop the E, we drop the silent E. This is taking. Now, that's not the most important thing in poetry. The most important thing in poetry are your thoughts. So just be sure you put that page back into that clip for me, and we'll get it back out the next day. Now what I'm going to do is show you what eventually will happen within 3 days. You have your paper plate ring that I cut out for you. It doesn't have leaves. It's not supposed to. This is going to end up being a wreath with flowers on it. I'm going to show you how to make 2 types of flowers today. I'll have to bend the camera down just a little bit. So I'm going to show you a hard one and an easy one. The first one I'm going to show you is a rose. And with all of this, you have to be patient. So you need something with a circular bottom. I just chose a glass. Now, if you have paper cups, that'd be best because we wouldn't want that glass to get knocked off. We're going to trace a circle around whatever it is you are using. Get way out of my way. You need your scissors out of your school box. And you will cut the circle out. And you really want to stay on the line as much as possible. These take quite a while. That's why this replaces your reading worksheets that are on the slides if you want it to. Once you have a circle, you're going to use the scissors. Now, this is the part that you've really got to go slow on. I'm going to make a little slit right on the side. And then I'm going to cut and twist. I'm twisting this paper with my thumb. We don't want this to be too big. I'm also never closing my scissors all the way. If you close them all the way, you are going to cut through the circle, and that's not the goal. The goal is to keep turning and cutting. I would say that I close my scissors about halfway. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but we want it to be close to the same size. Now, when you get to about right here, kind of looks like a snake. And this kind of looks like the head. That's going to be the bottom of the rose. So I can put it back up like this. Now, most videos will show you just to wrap this up and wind this up, but it is very helpful if you'll get a pencil. And in the beginning, you kind of have to hold that tip down. And I'm squeezing. I am squeezing this paper as I go against this pencil. It doesn't have to stay perfectly lined up with each other. You want it close. But I really want it to take this shape. So I am just pressing every little turn. And parents, this may seem super hard, and kiddos, you will get so good at this. Because we know if we were at school and you were at the back table, I would be showing you this, but then I would not be coming over and making roses for you because you can do it. Just takes a little practice and little patience. Okay, once I've twisted to where the snake head is, I give it one big squeeze, not the snake head, it's still hanging out, and I slide the pencil. It's okay if it loosens up a little bit. And I slide the pencil out. Now you can do a couple of things. I let go. It's okay to let go because it is not going back to being a straight piece of paper no matter what you do. This becomes the base. This is where you get your glue bottle out of your school box, and your fingers are going to get sticky, so you might want to have a little paper towel nearby. And I'm saying be generous with the glue. Most of the time I'm not, but this time I am. We're going to just let that rose spread out a little bit and press And you don't need to be worried about the glue showing or sticking out because when glue dries, it's clear. It's not going to hang out. So this takes a while to get good and dry. This is going to have to set overnight. So I'm going to scoot it over here. And I made a couple ahead of time, and these haven't been sitting for a day. This one, I barely unrolled at all. So this is really a tight little rose. This one I let come undone a little bit. So it's a little bit bigger, a little bit looser rose. So that's how you make a rose. The next one I'm going to show you is a super easy one, a daisy. Again, daisy, you can use whatever colors you want. I gave you plenty of construction paper. Just be wise with it because you, for example, these two that I'd already made in this one, I didn't just set my glass right in the middle because what does that do? That ruins or lessens all the other chances I have to use the rest of the red. So use your paper very wisely. Again, I've already been on this page. So I like circles as starts. You can make any size you want. Doesn't have to be this big. This one needs to be about this big just because of the cutting. This is an easy flower to make. Your roses don't have to be red. Roses come in all different kinds of colors. Choose some of your favorite colors. Okay. Now what I like to do, and here's a little bit of math. This is a circle. So I'm going to fold it one time. I folded it in half. If you said that, you're correct. And then I'm going to double fold. So I'm going to fold again. When you unfold it, you should see 10 4 equal parts. So that's fourths. Now, I didn't fold it to necessarily use the folds. I folded it because I wanted to see where the center is located. So the daisy, you will not cut all the way to the center. That's another reason. It helps you know when you've gone too far. If you're going to make a daisy, you want very little thin cuts. Not all of your cuts can be the same length because as you go around, like that one had to be very short or it would have cut the other one off. This is not a daisy. This is not a daisy. So if you do that, you can go back and squeeze your scissors in. Daisies are very thin, little whimsical flowers that blow in the wind. A lot of you love 3D, and you are so good at making these objects. I'm always amazed, and I know parents would think, well, she must sit back there and do this for them. I never do. You can ask them. I'm not sitting at the back table completing their art because art isn't perfect. Art is whatever you make it. So there I went around. Now, if I want it to kind of look like it's been blowing in the wind, then I kind of just fringe this up a little bit. And then I want a center. Now, we could put yellow. I'm going to show you this. See how I cut a dot out of the very edge. It would be silly of me to cut a dot right in the middle and then waste all of this paper. So I'm going to make this middle fairly large. You can make it's yours. It can be whatever size you would like. I didn't even, if you wanted to use a nickel or something, you could, but I don't really care that the edges are perfect. You shouldn't either. And then I put that in the middle, and I have a daisy. Now, what will happen is you will end up, and I'll show you that later, making some leaves and gluing them to this. And by the end of our 3 days on Cinquain, we will end up having a poem in here, and we will end up gluing our flowers to fill in these white spaces, and we will have a complete wreath. So as we're working on this art, and I will show you 2 different flowers. So if you want to try a daisy, make maybe 2. change up your colors. If you want to make a rose, try some different colors, make maybe a couple. I can tell you that, no offense to the girls, but usually the boys make the best roses. I do not know. They just get so into it. I remember that Trent and Simon made ended up making an entire rose wreath, and it looked like it came from Hobby Lobby. His rose, he probably had 20 roses on that wreath, and they were just tight, snug, and layered so nicely. It was beautiful. Um, but I want it to be whatever you want it to be. So again, I want to be sure, do not go ahead on this. Write one Cinquain poem. We'll do this one the next day and this one the next day. And what that gives you a chance to do is a chance to think about, well, what will my next thing be? Well, do I know enough about it to write a poem? Can I come up with some really good verbs and adjectives for that? And is it something, it needs to be something that you love enough to frame it into your flower wreath. The thing I would say about the construction paper is just use it wisely, because after the Cinquain poem, we are going to do one with the next poem, and we need to have some of this left over. Now, do I need to be saving this? No. Do I need to be saving this? Absolutely, because I can use that again. So don't be too frustrated with the gluing, and the paper is going to stick to your hands. Just take your time, make 2 or 3 flowers, let them dry overnight. Another thing, as I would say, is if it's got a lot of glue on the bottom, I wouldn't let it rest overnight on a piece of paper, because it'll stick to that piece of paper, and then you'll be really frustrated when you try to pick it up and it just kind of rips away from you. All right, so get started on that poem, and then make 2 or 3 flowers, and that satisfies your reading assignment for today. Have fun.